I'm Allendale Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Latest check of the surface analysis across the country shows very strong high pressure settling south and eastward across the middle of the country. The high is centered over east to southeastern parts of South Dakota. Looks like it's going to be heading down toward eastern Nebraska here this afternoon. Actually, I've seen a few little stories out there about whether or not we can break the record high pressure number, like in Omaha, Nebraska. We're very, very close. Looks like the highest pressure, 31.07 inches of mercury, something like that. And they're saying that maybe we can get close this afternoon, so that'd be interesting. Very rarely do we talk about breaking overall high pressure records. It's one of those things that you don't even really think of those records being kept, but they are. It tells you this is a very strong high. Now, strong highs, especially this time of year, mean there's a very, very cold air. And that cold air is peaking as it slides southeastward. So we're going to be seeing this cold air mass move across the rest of the Corn Belt over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours. Temperatures going well below zero in a large number of locations. Now, I think we'll see this Arctic air probably recharge as we go into Friday. Friday could be a day where we see temperatures all over a large part of the Corn Belt similar to today. A little bit of a bump on Thursday, but then going back down. And then we should slowly see a rise in temperatures as we try and finish out the rest of the weekend to go into next week. Overall, the pattern looks very, very similar here. As we see cold air recharge, you might be able to see a little bit more snow work across northern locations, another weak clipper-like system tomorrow night into early Friday, but it's not going to be a big deal everywhere. The next good system, the good precipitation system I see is around that 18th, 19th time frame. The system still looks strong, good front there. To me, it all comes down to a question of temperature. Does cold air come in soon enough that we see this as a big snow event, or is it predominantly rain? Temperatures do moderate through the middle and second half of next week, back to normal levels at least. It might be just enough to trigger some rain rather than snow. But if the Arctic air holds, and if I am right in thinking that our American models are probably about 5 degrees too warm on temperatures, all of a sudden you've got to bring more snow into play here as you go through that 18th, 19th, 20th time frame. From there, we're going to be seeing another Arctic air mass dive southward across the country behind that front. Looks like we could revisit these same well below normal temperatures that we've started to deal with here recently. We could revisit those as we go through the last part of this month and into early February, so that pattern looks to be intact as well. Latest model runs at midday down in South America, not showing a lot of reason to change our forecast thought process, but we are watching Brazil very, very closely. Now, to me, it looks like there is a difference between perceived dryness in the forecast and actual dryness that wants to occur. We're still going to see that misconception or the difference between those two opinions probably for the next 7 to 8 days, because the GFS model especially really kind of tries to keep things drier over Brazil. I think we've got some scattered showers, but I'd say no more than a half an inch of moisture combined, and your coverage is going to be no better than about 40% out of that. Where things get interesting is once we get into the time frame after the 17th. We've got several good fronts coming through Argentina ahead of this, and then those are going to try and hold together and move north into Brazil. The 17th, 18th, 19th, limited success. But once you get into the 20th and 21st, model runs are now saying that we can get moisture up into Mato Grosso. We can get moisture up through Paraná and into Sao Paulo. The drier areas might end up being in eastern Goiás and southwestern parts of Bahia again, but we still are seeing the same fronts move through there as well. So if the models try and trend a little bit wetter with moisture along the fronts they're already showing, then that will fill in the gaps. If they don't, if these fronts try and move through Brazil dry, about 10 days to 2 weeks from now, we might have a little bit better of an issue to talk about. But you cannot argue with the moisture that's coming out of Argentina right now. Argentina picking up at least 1 to 2, probably 1 to 3 inches of rain over the next 2 weeks. We just have to see if the fronts can hold together as they go north into Brazil. We've got a strong surface high sitting just south and east of the Brazilian coast, and I think that's impacting these fronts just a little bit. That's what we've got in your forecast at midday. We'll monitor these models and be back with you again tomorrow. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.